Hello, good people. This is your guy, Mr. Educator, Mr. Communicator, Mr. Free Thinker, coming back at you live once again from the Lone Star State with another edition of the Media Mike Speaks. Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Manhattan to stop prosecuting prostitution, part of a nationwide shift. Let me repeat that. Manhattan, the island of Manhattan, meaning New York City, to stop prosecuting prostitution, part of a nationwide shift. Here we go, good people, here we go. So, as you see, prostitution and massage parlors now legal in New York City. Now, although the laws of the state prohibit prosecution, Mayor Bill de Blasio's action essentially legalizes the activity in the city of New York only. Now, New York State, it is still illegal. But the island of Manhattan, they would not prosecute. So, but it is a catch-22, I would say. And we're going to talk about that. This was brought to my attention early this morning, and I said, oh, I couldn't resist. I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do it. So, well, here we are. And as you saw in my title, New York to legalize prostitution, a new Las Vegas emerges. Is it? But there's a catch. Now, let's get to it. In New York, a new bill has been introduced that would decriminalize sex workers in New York. However, the bill will still hold pimps and buyers accountable. Pimps are one thing, but holding the buyer criminally liable is an invitation for police to masquerade as sex workers. And then if the guy agrees, they cuff him. They use this game already in drugs. They go around pretending to be a supplier or a buyer with the same outcome. This is a recipe for disaster. Now, this is the critics of this. Of course, on the other hand, since they will probably drive businesses elsewhere and few people commute to New York City anymore, perhaps the sex workers will be hired by NYPD to try to catch other officers who may be all that is left walking the streets. Well, could be true because I just did a video on the number of officers that are retiring in New York City. So I don't know where they're going to get the officers from because most of them, about 70% of them are leaving. So anyway, let's continue here. And we're going to talk about why this is probably happening. And I did get part of this story from BGS too. So I do follow him. So he is a very good YouTuber. So old school, as I would say. So anyway, although the laws of the state prohibit prosecution, Mayor Bill de Blasio's action essentially legalizes the activity in the city of New York. Now, what I guess I don't know. Some things some will have an issue with, but hey, it is what it is. Manhattan District Attorney Cy Vance Jr. today announced the office's new policy to decline to prosecute prostitution and unlicensed massage, and appeared virtually in Manhattan Criminal Court. Well, it should say read unlicensed massage parlors. But anyway, and moved to dismiss 914 prostitution and unlicensed massage cases in line with the office's new policy, preventing unnecessary future contacts with the criminal justice system, eliminating the collateral consequences associated with having a prostitution case or conviction, and empowering New Yorkers to interact with law enforcement without fear of arrest or deportation. The advance also moved to dismiss 5,080 loitering for the purpose of prostitution cases following New York State's legal repeal of the statute known as walking while trans earlier this year. Yeah, that's the part, just walking while trans. Okay, I have videos on those too. So, but that was those videos regarding is there a war on heterosexual women? But now it seems. Okay, never mind. Let's continue. The quote, over the last decade, we've learned from those with lived experience and from our own experience on the ground. Criminally prosecuting prostitution does not make us safer, and too often achieves the opposite result by further marginalizing vulnerable New Yorkers, said District Attorney Vance. What vulnerable? Who's vulnerable? Who are you talking about? He said doesn't make us safer. Okay, I guess he wasn't around during the 80s. I don't know. Okay, that's what I'm just saying, good people. I don't know. What do you think? So, I mean, this is the change, according to him. Continue to quote, that he has been looking for, or hoping for, advocating for decades. So I don't know. Now you have the transgender equity consulting individuals on board here. So hey, there's nothing against that. I'm just saying that's what it is. Now let's continue here. This initiative to end the prosecution of people who are simply trying to work to survive through a depressed economy. So the economy was never good. And to immediately dismiss the almost 6,000 bench warrants for loitering, prostitution, and non-licensed massages is one of the most significant steps taken nationally in the effort to stop criminalizing sex work. With the recent passage of the Walking While Trans bill, and I think that's what probably did it, and the commitment our officials are showing to addressing this draconian use of laws, draconian old laws, which disproportionately criminalize queer, trans, and black and brown women. New York City is showing we can do what it takes to do right for all of us, unquote. Really now? You mean because due to the COVID, women are suffering? That's my 2 cents. Because it appears to me the only ones who are suffering are women who are out there because they can't find work without men. Just saying, you tell me, good people, what do you think about this? Previously, the DA's office policy was to dismiss prostitution cases in the interest of justice after the charged individual completed 5 counseling sessions with service providers. That wouldn't go over well, so just throw it all out. Today, District Attorney Vance appeared before Judge Charlotte Davidson and moved to vacate the 5,994 bench warrants in Massey and to dismiss the 878 underlying prostitution cases and 36 underlying unlicensed massage cases in accordance with the office's new policy to decline to prosecute any such arrest. DA Vance also moved to dismiss 5,080 underlying loitering for the purpose of prostitution cases following New York State's repeal of the statute earlier this year, as I talked about earlier. So, what do you think, good people? What do you think? New York is taking the leap of not so good faith, I would say. I don't know. Depends. Well, good people, what can I say? Because it looks like what once was debated as bad is now going away. What do I think? This will spread from the east to the west, where it will gain its clout. Then eventually it will make its way to the south. So now as we move forward, me love you long time will no longer be a crime. Now the men who engage in this practice will no longer have to sneak and hide in fear. They will just tell their significant other, I'm going for a walk. So don't wait up, my dear. This is your guy, Mr. Educator, Mr. Communicator, Mr. Free Thinker. Subscribe, share, and like so that I can keep rocking on the mic. Have a good night.